What is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 4 breakdown of Echo. I've been really loving the show up to this point. Episode 4 was titled Taloa, Long Live the King. Mr. Wilson Fisk, Vincent D'Onofrio, the Kingpin is back, and starts out in New York, 2008, 4 years before the 2012 Battle of Avengers 1. So 2008, not much going on in New York. Fisk is picking up Maya, the young girl from school, and she asks a ice cream man for one of his things, and the ice cream man is a complete douche and starts, making fun of a deaf child. And Kingpin doesn't like that at all. So Kingpin goes and teaches that ice cream man a lesson. And, we get the shots from the trailer, the oosh, 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 beating him, the bloody hands, the bloody knuckles. He's got blood all over his white suit. And the first thing he does is call and go, hey, I need a new suit. I don't want Maya to see. He turns around and Maya's standing there, and he reaches out his hand. He's like, don't be scared. He's thinking like his, she calls him uncle. So his niece is going to be terrified of him. What does she do? She runs over, throws one last kick in at the ice cream man, and then he holds his hand and walks away. Holding that bloody hand, by the way. So now you see what kind of person Maya is. She said, earlier in the season she wanted to be like her dad. Now her dad's gone, or like her dad's just busy and she's hanging out with Mr. Uncle Fisk here, and he's not really teaching her the best of life experiences, if you know what I'm saying. So they walk away holding hands, and they cut to 2021. Kingpin's having dinner with Maya and tells her the only one they can trust is each other, and then kills the goddamn interpreter, which is brutal. She's behind him, signing the whole time, and then all of a sudden they're sitting down at dinner, and he starts to continue to eat his meal, and she just walks over to this plastic covered hallway, and they just take her out. You hear her screaming in the background, and it's up in for interpretation that, did Maya hear this because she can't hear, or you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But then the intro plays, obviously that banger of an intro, the burning by the yeah-yeah-yeahs. I think one of the best intros from the Disney Plus shows for Echo here. I just wish we got to live with this for 5 weeks, and this entire series wasn't going to get buried at the beginning of the year. It's tough because this has been a really great show, and it obviously has its problems and stuff here and there, but I don't think that's any of the actors' faults. I think they all did a really great job, and the story was pretty damn good. But once we got to episode 4 and 5 here, it's very dialogue heavy, so I'm going to be going through quite a bit of the dialogue, so bear with me here. But we cut back after the intro to Fisk, left off from the cliffhanger of the last episode, standing there with Maya. Maya's creeped out at Fisk. Fisk forces a contact into her eye. He had tech made so that they could communicate, but also so he could be lazy and not have to learn how to fucking sign or have an interpreter, but he wanted to be able to have direct communication between the two of them. She's like, I thought you were dead. He's like, yes, you made that very clear in New York. And he's wondering if they could have Sunday dinner like they used to, and she goes, it's Thursday. Which I thought was hilarious. But they go in, they have dinner, and he's like, I'm not angry with you, Maya. And he's like, you did what you thought you had to do, and that impresses him. You did exactly what he taught her. He also thinks part of her is happy that he's alive, and she's like, no, I assure you, I wanted you dead. And he's like, yes, but your face when I saw you now says something differently. And so she goes, I'll open the wine. She pours the wine down the drain, sits at the table. Kingpin looks around, looks at the picture of her father, the one that he had killed by the Ronin, which we figured out in Hawkeye and in flashbacks in the earlier episodes. But he goes and sits down at the table, and he's like, what happened to the Lafette? She's like, I poured it down the drain. And he's just like, it came highly recommended. He was just kind of son of a bitch. He goes, I guess we're not having wine. And she puts cola on the table. They're having not even Diet Coke. They're having cola. But he pulls out of his little bag. He goes, I brought your favorite cookies. Are these still your favorite? And she's kind of like, maybe. And he's like, hopefully these don't go the way of the wine. He's like, hopefully you don't throw these out. I'm not trying to poison you. I'm just trying to, sit down with my niece and have a real conversation. The only two people that they can trust, you know. Kingpin goes, "It's been a long time since we had one of our dinners." Takes out the utensils, he drops a knife, or she drops her knife, he picks it up and like points it for a second, then flips it around and gives it to her. And it's like, it's all mind games and like a little chess moves here and there, and they're both like trying to see, or is either one going to kill the other, and like we still don't know how Kingpin feels about her. The last time they saw each other, she shot him in the face, and somehow he's alive, which is just insanity. It really is. He says he sees everything that Maya is and always has, and she asks, "Why are you here?" And he offers her an empire, everything that she's wanted, you know, to be the Queenpin. All she has to do is come back home with him to New York. And he says he's staying at the Choctaw Casino until the weekend. He'll be waiting for her and hopes she'll be on the plane. Think about it, and he leaves. So she goes and talks to Henry, tells Fisk about her being Queenpin. That scares Henry. He tells her everything he ever cared about was taken away by Kingpin, and that, you know, was threatened to be taken away by Kingpin. That's why he was like in New York and came back to Oklahoma. So now Henry's like, "Hey, listen, I don't know if that offer's still here, but can I help you?" And so Henry helps out her, but she starts having visions, and both Grandma Chula and Maya both having visions, and he brings her to Chula's house, and she wakes up in the truck. She's like, "Where are we?" And he's like, "Listen, you and Chula, she can help you with what's going on here," and tells her, "Go inside. You can figure this out, work this out with your grandmother." Maya tells her what she's been seeing. The same visions Maya's seeing are the same visions that Grandma Chula was having when she had Maya's mother. Now, the title of this episode is Taloa, which is the name of Maya's mother. So each episode has been like a different name of a different ancestor of Maya's, and then the finale episode is named Maya. So obviously we've caught up to now this generation of Maya being the generation of Choctaw warrior that is carrying on from Chafa, Loak, Tuklo, her mother, Taloa. Obviously her mother was probably going to be a badass woman with these powers, but then got taken too soon, which is why Chula and Maya's relationship is tough. Chula says Taloa was her mother's name, and she was a healer. That there's a unique connection between mother and child, and it's an unbreakable connection. She says when her mother was killed, her heart was shattered, right? Maya's mother. So when Chula's daughter died, her heart was shattered, and she wanted to die, and Maya says she disowned her, and Chula says, "No, not you, your father," and that Chula was angry at her father for what he had brought to his daughter, and she had shunned him away, but he took her. And she's like, generations are echoing, reaching out to us at a time when we need them most. So like Maya was, you know, hearing what she had to say and was like, "Listen, I get your point, but I'm a child and I needed my grandmother, and you shunned me and disowned me with my father." And, you know, all she ever thought about was herself. So then she leaves. Henry's like, "How'd that go?" And she's like, "It's, I don't know, exhausting." But Chula is now, you know, hurt and tearing up a little bit, but starts getting to work on Maya's suit. So now we're in the 4th episode, leading into the finale, and once again our hero is getting a brand new suit. You know, it just feels like every show, besides like She-Hulk maybe, had their final suit up in the final episode. You know, like, it's just so silly. So as Chula starts to get working on the outfit, the song "Down to the River and Pray" starts playing, and it's like very beautifully shot, and the way that the sound design of this whole show was, it's just great. "Down to the river and play, good Lord, show me the way." You know, like, it's a pretty good song, but it's very like a Catholic song. But Maya goes to the hotel with a gun pointed at Fisk. So we're sitting there like, oh shit, what is Maya doing? Kingpin Wilson Fisk sees Maya pointing this gun at her and goes, "I don't remember a time when I didn't think of you like a daughter." And she's like, "You're a monster." And then he like sits down, and we get this great line from the trailer. He goes, "A monster? I ask you, who's the monster?" And it's like, ooh, and you're really like, damn, is she the monster? Is he the monster? Are they both monsters? Are they both the bad guys? Like, because really, Maya didn't do much heroing in this series. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't really take a turn for a hero. So I think we could still see her as a villain doing bad shit, and then maybe later takes the turn back towards hero. I think she took a turn back towards being herself in this series, but I don't think necessarily she's thinking like a hero. You know what I mean? Like, she's still murdering. She's still a badass. But Alaka Cox, I've been in love with in this series, and it's awesome. She's awesome. She's like, listen, she was like, even these contacts, they're so you could get out of learning sign language. And he gets mad. He was like, I was there for you. He knows he failed her and shows her the hammer that he has kept. And now there's been a little bit of debate online, right? So he shows a ball-peen hammer. Now, from the Daredevil Netflix show, we saw young Kingpin and his father's relationship with that hammer, but it was a normal framing hammer with a claw on the back, and he beat the hell out of his father in the back of the head with this hammer to save his mother from getting beaten by his father's, right? So Kingpin has this very traumatic relationship with his family, and there's a reason he's become the monster he is. But people are saying, okay, this is a ball-peen hammer in this show. What's the deal? Like, is it the same hammer? Is he lying? Is he just brought this hammer, covered it in blood, and it's a different hammer just to get underneath Maya's skin and, like, get in her head a little bit? Or is this the same events that did happen in Daredevil, but we're in a slightly different multiverse, where we know some things are drastically different in multiverses and some things are just slightly different, you know? Like in What If, where Doctor Strange in one universe crashed the car, destroyed his hands, and he was really screwed up. And then in a different multiverse, he had crashed the car, fucked up his hands, but the damage to the hands was just slightly different. You know what I mean? They're still the same. Doctor Strange still went to Comertage and still did all that. So maybe this is that Daredevil and this Kingpin still had all the same events, or maybe had similar events from the Netflix Daredevil show, but they're just slightly different. And maybe that's what Daredevil Born Again will be about. Will be kind of events from that show, kind of events from a different multiverse, and we're kind of leading into a new show. I don't know if that will be the case, but I almost really hope that it's more of a season 4 to that Netflix Daredevil show. I've been rewatching that a little bit too, and I think it's just an incredibly good show. But he shows her the hammer, and the hammer from killing his dad, and he like gives her the hammer, and right, and he says, "I killed my father to be free. So here's the hammer. Kill me. Set me free. Set yourself free. Do it." And then she puts down the hammer, and she doesn't want to be the monster. And he goes, "So we've come full circle, right? We're right back to the beginning. We've come full circle. In Hawkeye, you shot me, you killed me, you wanted me dead. We were away from each other. Now we're back together. You hate me again. You want me dead. You came into my hotel room with a gun. I'm giving you the chance to kill me again. It didn't work out the first time with a gun to the face. Maybe you could beat me to death with this hammer. Go ahead. Go right ahead." Now, even if she did hit him, I don't know if it would work, to be perfectly honest. But he's like, "Kill me. We've come full circle." And he's like, "All that." He goes, "Come, you better be at the plane in the morning." And she stands by the water and starts like remembering events from like Kingpin and like flashbacks from her ancestors. And then we hear from one of his guys, "She lost the tail, sir." And he's in the plane and he just punches the wall, and that's where the episode ends, on to the finale. I was like, ooh, it set me up so good, because after seeing the cliffhanger from 3 and the cliffhanger from 4, I was like, fuck, now I have to watch episode 5. Like, so now it's like midnight, almost 1 in the morning. I'm like, fuck, I got one more episode, let me just do it. Now, granted, this last episode's pretty short, but still pretty good. So we'll talk about Echo episode 5 in the next video. Stay tuned for that. But comment below, what did you think of episode 4? Although there wasn't too much action in this, I thought the dialogue in this episode was juicy. But frankly, every time Vincent D'Onofrio is playing Wilson Fisk Kingpin, he just brings a presence and an energy to that role that I just really, really love, and I hope you guys like it too. Go check out Daredevil Netflix show on Disney Plus right now. If you haven't seen that, you'll really appreciate the Kingpin more. But I'm guessing most of you have seen that if you're watching Echo and you're enjoying it. So comment below what are your thoughts on Echo, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.